Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Los Angeles Rams Insider Podcast. I'm your host and beat writer, Brock Beer. You can check out all of our work at www.si.com/NFL/Rams, where we drop double digit pieces of content every single day for the team, covering the team, what they're doing in free agency, what they'll be doing in the draft, how certain movements across the league are affecting the organization, and so on and so forth. And that's going to lead us into what today's episode is about. And that is, of course, the drama with Max Crosby, his trade that was accepted to go to the Baltimore Ravens, why the Ravens pulled out of that trade, and how the Rams factor into all of this. So let's start out with the facts of what we know, and then we'll dive into what is being alleged, and then we'll dive into, of course, the Rams step into the situation. So Max Crosby was a player who, obviously, defensive star for the Raiders, has been very upset about the lack of team success the Raiders have had over the past several years, and also mad at the overall lack of continuity and leadership. They are on their fourth head coach in 4 years. They are also on their third general manager in that same time. However, it appears that they're maybe about to find some stability this upcoming season, but we'll have to wait and see. However, there have been reports in the media that Crosby wanted out. Crosby himself said that he didn't, and then there was this confusion of like, what does he mean? What does he doesn't mean? What report to believe? What report do we not believe? It really doesn't matter because all that scenario ended up being this: the Raiders decided to trade Crosby to the Ravens for two first-round picks before the start of the legal tampering period, and of course the start of free agency. This is crucial because Crosby, of course, carries a massive cap hit and once the legal tampering period opened, NFL teams that were interested in Crosby were likely to spend a lot of their cap space on impending free agents, so they would not have the funds to be able to trade for Crosby had a deal been done after the point of for which it did. Because of the calendar year for the NFL, the actual league year did not open up until Wednesday, earlier today, on Wednesday. And because of that, all trades and deals like that could not be processed and finalized. Therefore, until the league year officially went from 2025 to 2026, Crosby remained with the Raiders, and the Ravens had the opportunity to pull out of that deal at any time. They've exercised that option, and it's not an unprecedented move, but it's one that is very strange. And the reasons being given is due to health concerns, not Crosby did not fail a medical. Like that's the crucial part about this. It was more of the Ravens felt, at least that's what's being reported, that considering the value that they're about to give up for Crosby, his average annual value, his cap hit, and what they are interpreting in regards to health as he's coming off a torn meniscus, they were not comfortable with the deal, so they pulled out. As mentioned, there's a reason why they did that trade when they did. So because the Ravens pulled out when they did, the Raiders do not have another suitor for Crosby. That is a situation that is kind of resolving itself as Crosby has just recently gone to social media to say that he will be a Raider this upcoming season. I mean, not that he had much choice, honestly, but there is another side that's being alleged that the Ravens pulled out of negotiations for Crosby because the price tag on Trey Hendrickson decreased dramatically due to Hendrickson not getting the market that he thought he was going to get once he hit free agency this year. This comes because last year he had a massive contract issue with the Bengals. Is now he's over the age of 30, and also he was missed games due to injury. So there's concerns not that much because the Ravens signed him to a 4 year, $114 million contract, if I'm not mistaken. But now it's being alleged, and again, alleged, that the reason why the Ravens pulled out is because they could go and get Hendrickson for a great deal. They could retain their two first round picks, and thus they went that route. Again, it's being alleged. There's a bunch of different allegations about the situation, but as I mentioned, long story short, Crosby is staying in Las Vegas. So where does this leave the Rams? Nowhere right now, and nothing, nowhere that's going to happen in terms of the next couple weeks, as far as I know, as far as I can interpret, as far as I envision. The reason is this: the only way a deal goes down is if the Raiders agree to a deal where the Rams' first round pick isn't involved this year, That's definitely not going to happen. So the Rams are definitely going to use the 13th overall selection this year. And then when it comes to a first round pick next year, I don't think the Rams are really in a position to discuss using that because they have to consider what their books are going to look like as they've just signed Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson and Cam Curl and Tyler Higbee back to this team or back to the team, and then they also got the remainder of free agency, the draft class they have to sign, and then they have to start handing out extensions for the 2023 draft class, which is going to heavily impact their books. The reason you keep an eye on this is because there's a good chance the Raiders are likely going to suck this year. It just is what it is. If they don't, good for them. But if they do, here's where the opportunity arises. This whole narrative that Crosby's ready to be a Raider again, blah blah blah, kumbaya, the world is at peace. I don't believe it for 1 second. I think he's just dealing with the cards that he was dealt. He wants to go to a contender. If the Raiders are not contending, I think he still wants out. And you fast forward into the middle of the season, you start talking about that mid-season trade market. This is where the Rams come in. Obviously, they're a team that wants to compete for a championship, and they've invested a ton of money on the defense side of the ball, but they don't have that veteran on the line to be that let's rally and let's go. Right? Jared Verse is trying to be that guy, Kobe Turner is trying to be that guy, but they've only been in the league 3 or 4 years, so they're still trying to find themselves. They definitely know who they are because first year in 2023 with that draft class wild card. Next year they make it to the divisional round. The year after that they go to the NFC Championship. There's a lot of growth in between, but there's that lack of a surgical option that can really dominate. It's becoming quite clear that this is the F them picks era part 2.0. And while I don't think the Rams are going to go all in as they have done in years past in terms of the draft picks and stuff like that, I do think that there is one card that Les Snead has left to play, and that is a midseason trade for a player or an edge player who can take the Rams back to the Super Bowl. When the Rams went to the Super Bowl the first time with Sean McVay, they got Dante Fowler Jr. in the middle of the season. When they went to the second time and they won, they got Von Miller. And I think this time they're going to go get Max Crosby. Crosby has a relationship with Devontae Adams. He's cool with the Los Angeles area. Obviously, the Rams are an organization that's built on winning. And when you get to that point of the season, the Rams are going to have a much clearer picture on what their books are going to look like, not just for this season, not just for next season, but for the next 2, 3 years out. Pardon me. So they have to take on a contract, they understand exactly what they're taking on. On top of that, if they don't extend a player like Colby Turner or Byron Young, of course, that would allow Crosby to kind of take up what they were going to get paid anyway. So there's all these kind of factors that kind of jump into it. But in my opinion, based on everything that's going on, look for the Rams to be interested in Max Crosby when the midseason trade market really amps up later on this year. This has been Brock Mira from the Los Angeles Rams Insider Podcast. We'll catch y'all next time. Take care.